The man could not easily meet the living people to say hello to them, but the other side not only did not respond, but also vigilantly took out a gun at the waist. In this apocalyptic world of zombies, there are only a few surviving humans. Because of the lack of food, trust between people has become non-existent. Andy and his family have been drifting on the boat for 2.5 months to survive. Although staying on the boat is very safe, food is the biggest problem. One day, Andy saw an abandoned yacht and rode the boat to see if there was food inside. To be safe, he carefully used a mirror to check the situation inside. After confirming there was nothing unusual, Andy went to the cabin and was lucky to find a lot of food, which was enough for them to live on the boat for several months. However, when he was happy about it, there was a sudden noise in the room. But Andy did not take it to heart and returned to the ship with a box full of food. Little did he know that his wife Kay was in great danger because of his carelessness. Knowing her husband had found food on the overturned yacht, Kay secretly went to the yacht while her husband was sleeping, and the intention was to find a shaving for him. As a result, there was another noise in the room. Kay felt bad and turned around to leave, but unfortunately, it was too late. He didn't know how long it took, but Andy was awakened by his daughter crying. He was just about to go to Kay with his daughter in his arms when he found a puddle of blood on the floor and a bad feeling instantly came over him. Andy opened the bathroom door and saw his injured wife dressing her wounds. The scared husband still didn't know what had happened. Until Kay took out the countdown bracelet and put it on his hand, he knew that a zombie had bitten his wife. 48 hours remain before Kay becomes a zombie. But Andy does not panic. He immediately begins to pack a bag. Because according to the map issued by the government, there are aid stations set up on land, and maybe there is a cure for the virus there. Without delay, the family immediately set out. However, the land was much more dangerous than fishing boats, and they always had to stay alert. Luckily, they didn't have to walk long before they found a car. But just as Andy was filling up the car, Kay saw a zombie coming this way. She wanted to warn Andy but was afraid the sound would disturb the zombie, so she could only turn on the turn signal. Andy saw it and instantly understood his wife's meaning. Before the zombie pounced on him, he rushed back to the car, a foot of floor gas quickly away. But not long after driving out, Kay found her wounds had been covered with a lot of zombie blood. This is a precursor to becoming a zombie. In order not to hurt his family, Kay wants to get out of the car and leave. Seeing her so emotional, Andy had to stop the car and catch up with his wife, who was ready to leave. Kay knew her end and knew there was no cure. But despite this, Andy still did not want to give up. He forced his wife to help her into the car. To keep her from doing something stupid and deliberately breaking the door handle, they continued to set off toward their destination. But not long after driving out, the accident happened again. A zombie suddenly appeared in the middle of the road, so Andy subconsciously dodged and accidentally occurred into the car accident. Kay was a tree branch pierced through the abdomen, and Andy also fell into a coma because of the huge impact. When Andy woke up from the coma but saw a word written on the car door, his wife's face was covered with zombie blood, and it didn't take long for her to mutate. He wanted to comfort his frightened daughter but was accidentally bitten by his wife, who had completely turned into a zombie. After taking his daughter out of the car, Andy walked back once again. He had to send his wife on her last journey with his own hands. After doing everything, Andy sat down in despair and let out a roar of anger and resignation. He thought about leaving with his wife, but for the sake of his months-old daughter, at least now, he cannot just give up. So he decided to take the bracelet off his wife's hand and put it on his hand, and after adjusting the 48-hour countdown, Andy set off again with his daughter on his back. Because before the mutation, he had to entrust his daughter to someone he could trust. On the road, his daughter kept crying. He used his wife's former perfume sprayed around, and his daughter smelled the familiar smell and immediately stopped crying. However, at this moment, Andy saw the culprit of their car accident. But when he was about to pick up a branch to solve the zombie, suddenly Thumi stopped him. Just see Thumi with a sharp stone-cut palm. The zombie smelled the blood immediately followed. This zombie is also very close to the Thumi. She has a different way of keeping her loved ones by her side. Andy then continued to walk towards the aid station according to the map, finally in the dark when he successfully reached the destination. But this place is a little different from what he thought. It is very dark inside and does not look like there are people. But looking around, he suddenly found Etta sitting in the corner. Looking at the wound on Andy's arm, Etta gave him a simple bandage and told him that this was no longer an aid station. Because of the virus's rapid spread, it has long been abolished by the government. Andy wanted to entrust his daughter to Etta, but then he saw her remove the wig from her head. She was on medication, apparently suffering from an incurable disease, and Andy gave up on the idea. The next morning, she said goodbye to Etta and continued with her daughter on her back. While on the way, he saw many zombies with their heads buried in the dirt, and as soon as they passed by, the zombies would be woken up. Andy soon saw a truck and wanted to know if he could drive it, but he didn't expect the owner to be there. It turned out to be a zombie following, but the sound of gunfire attracted more zombies. Vic was unfortunately trapped in the pit. He asked Andy to help him. Unexpectedly, the zombie appeared not far away. After getting the keys to Vic's car, Andy immediately got into the car, started the gas pedal to save Vic, and drove away before the zombies arrived. Vic then took Andy to a gas station where he and his wife lived, and the two seemed to have a good relationship. The first thing Vic does on his return is to give Lorraine the necklace he found. But these are only superficial. Vic just turned away. Lorraine was disgusted and threw the necklace aside. Andy didn't understand. Andy just sat down to rest, and Vic took him out to go around, and he had no choice but to give his daughter to Lorraine. But he did not expect Vic to teach him to practice his shooting skills. Many zombies were gathered by the cage in front of him as if something was attracting them. But Andy did not think much about it. He quickly solved all the zombies under Vic's leadership. But when they got closer, Andy realized that the cage was holding Thumi. Thumi is exactly what he met before, and Andy thought he could entrust his daughter to this couple. They use other people's lives to play games and are certainly not good people. Lorraine was caring for her daughter when she suddenly found the blood of a zombie on her body. She instantly understood, but she did not choose to speak out but to clean her daughter's clothes and hang them up to dry. Andy came back to see this scene and understood Lorraine already knew he was infected with the virus. Compared to Vic, this Lorraine is alright, he could entrust our daughter to her. At the end of the night, Andy finally decided because he was running out of time. After reluctantly saying goodbye to his daughter, Andy went outside alone. He took the government-issued ejector needle and prepared to end his life. At the critical moment, Lorraine suddenly appeared with his daughter in her arms. She knew what Andy was up to and that he was infected with the virus. But when Andy asks her to help him, Lorraine says she can't take care of her daughter. It turns out that she and Vic are not a couple, and Vic has killed her real husband. If you really want to take care of your daughter, you should take her away from here. Hearing this and Vic's actions during the day make Andy even more convinced of Vic's character. It seems that the suicide has to be put back. Andy suddenly thought of the family he met at the river at the beginning. They have 2 daughters who may be able to help themselves, so he decided to take them there to try their luck. But as soon as he said that, Vic suddenly appeared and gave Andy a blow to the head. When he wakes up, he finds himself locked up with Thumi, but it won't be long before he turns into a zombie. Andy must find a way out, and the zombies are approaching this way. Looking at the fat sausage hanging from the cage, Andy had a plan. He would tie it up with a rope and throw it to the front. The zombies were attracted to the past, in the grab for food when they successfully opened the iron door. Using this method, they successfully escaped from the inside and walked to the gas station. Sneak into the room to wake the sleeping Lorraine and then pick up their daughter, ready to leave. Vic, who was sleeping like a pig, didn't notice and they escaped from the room. They were about to get into the car when Vic came out of the room with a shotgun. Lorraine tried to stop Vic from shooting but was shot by Vic as soon as she reached out. Vic was about to come after them from above and Andy had no choice but to run. They ran to a cave. They finally escaped the chase, and an angry Vic kept shouting outside. They did not dare to make a sound. Not long after Vic left, they had to wait until dawn and then go. However, late at night, Thumi was awakened by a strange sound. She picked up the flashlight and found Andy licking the blood on the stone wall. He was gradually becoming bloodthirsty. After dawn, Andy returns to normal and continues with his daughter and Thumi. But when walking under a tree, Thumi stopped. The original zombie was Thumi's father, now been killed by the clan and buried in this tree. Thumi finished the prayer to his father. They continued to rush, but not long, Andy felt ill. At this time only 9 hours before the complete transformation into a zombie. After a painful struggle, Andy fell into a coma and collapsed on the ground. Thumi picked up his daughter and after he recovered, he set off to his destination again. It was hard to find the family, but he found that the man was digging a grave for the family, and only after getting closer did he realize that a zombie had also bitten him. He wanted to entrust his daughter to them, but he never expected such a result. The man advised Andy to take his daughter out of this world and said he would leave him 2 bullets. Andy did not hesitate to turn around and leave. Not long after he left, he heard the piercing sound of gunfire from behind him. The man first shot and killed his wife and daughter and finally committed suicide. Andy picked up the man's pistol and sat dumbfounded, wanting to end his own life, but his daughter's cry of dad made him give up this idea again. Thumi carried his daughter over to Andy, told him that his clansmen were not far away, and asked him if he would go with him. Thumi's words gave Andy hope again. If he could send his daughter to their tribe to raise it, the best choice. So he decisively agreed, and they immediately set off. But when they crossed a cave, many zombies were gathered inside. Thumi said it was the zombies sleeping. They like dark places like the zombies buried in the earth, so do not disturb them would be fine. But looking to go through the tunnel, I did not expect to see Vic when they were about to reach the exit. Vic seemed to have found something slowly walking towards this side. To attract each other's attention, Andy put Thumi and his daughter to settle down, then went to the back of the van and shouted Vic's name. Then hurry to hide in the crowd of corpses. But to find Andy, Vic begins to kill zombies. But at this time, Andy is ready to fight back. See, the next is his own. He decides to shoot at Vic, but unfortunately did not hit the vital. Weak Andy was instead Vic knocked to the ground, and then Vic found the two children in the car. Without saying a word, he pulled Thumi down, beat her, and then picked up Andy's daughter. Andy dragged his exhausted body to get up again, and when he came to find Vic did not hurt his daughter. It turns out that Vic was seriously injured due to a gunshot wound. In the last moment of his life, he chose to be kind. Thumi is also fine, a little delirium due to a head injury. And at this time, Andy is gradually losing consciousness. He holds on to his sanity after walking a distance and finally cannot hold on, putting his daughter down. Just a few steps out, Andy fell to the ground and stood up when the zombie blood covered their whole face. He kept using his hands to wipe, trying to keep himself awake. Seeing the rotting meat on the side, he couldn't even resist his appetite. Looking at his daughter, Andy thought of a way. He'd take a little carrion in Thumi's support to continue to walk hard. When he couldn't hold on, Andy immediately stopped, tied the carrion to a branch, and told Thumi. Andy said a final goodbye to his daughter and then put her on his back. To prevent himself from hurting them, Andy put braces on his mouth and tied his hands securely. After doing all this, Andy also turned into a zombie. But he still did not stop. At this time, killing zombies in front of the clan is ready to leave. Suddenly heard the sound of a baby crying. They turned around to see an incomparable shock scene. As the mist in front of them slowly dispersed, a strange figure appeared in front of them. A zombie carrying his daughter and their clan under the guidance of rotting flesh to continue to cargo. As a father, Andy completed his last mission after saving the two children. They also sent Andy's last ride. At the movie's end, Andy's daughter is brought back to the tribe, and the tribe loves this child. A clan member inadvertently found a word of thanks in the child's abdomen, which is the father's last love to his daughter, but also to express his gratitude to the clan who adopted his daughter.